Hoai Ca couldn't believe her eyes when she saw Du return the man who once caused her so much pain. He placed a thick stack of cash on the table, his voice trembling. "Use this to treat Tony, and I'll build a new house for you and your son." The air seemed to freeze for a moment. Hoai Ca stood silent, eyes filling with tears, unsure whether to feel grateful or afraid. The past couldn't be erased, but could she trust that this time was real? Was Du truly trying to make things right, or was there something he wasn't saying? Don't forget to subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to witness this deeply emotional moment where kindness, guilt, and love intertwine in the story of Hoai Ca Tony and Du. That morning, the sky was perfectly clear. Soft sunlight spilled over the dirt road leading to Hoai Ca's small house. She was doing laundry, the sound of water mixing with birdsong, peaceful, almost too quiet. Then from afar came the low hum of a motorbike. Her heart skipped a beat. She looked up and froze. Du. He stopped at the gate, took off his helmet, his eyes uneasy, his smile uncertain. "I heard about Tony," he said softly. "I wanted to visit and talk to you." Hoai Ca said nothing. She simply nodded and let him in. They sat across from each other on an old wooden chair. The only sound was the fan turning and the warm light drifting through the doorway. Du looked around the worn walls, the little toy car, the potted plants. He sighed. "I didn't expect you'd still live here." "This is home," she said quietly. "No matter where I go, I always come back." He reached into his bag, pulled out a thick stack of cash and placed it on the table. "I heard Tony's still in treatment. Please take this. Use it for him. I know you'll want to refuse, but don't." Her hands trembled. Tears welled up. "Thank you," she whispered. "But what's between us?" "It's long over." He gave a small, tired smile. "I'm not here for the past. I'm here for Tony and for you. I just want to make things right." Light filtered through the curtain, falling across two faces, one marked by guilt, the other by old pain. "Tony is Hung's son," she said softly. "I don't want anyone else involved." "I know, Do replied gently. "This isn't about that. I just want to help." She wiped her eyes. "I'll take a little, just enough for Tony's checkup." Du nodded. "Use it. I only hope the boy gets better soon." Before leaving, he looked at her one last time. "I'll help you fix this place or build you a new one. Call it my way of making amends." She shook her head. "I don't need a big house. I just need Tony to be healthy." He smiled faintly, then turned away. The motorbike started slowly disappearing down the dusty road. Hoai Ca stood in the doorway, her hair lifting in the breeze. The money on the table caught the sunlight and shimmered faintly. She took a deep breath and whispered, "Maybe people do find their way back, just a little too late." That afternoon, the sunlight was soft like silk, and the breeze swept across the golden rice fields. The scent of lyhoaica flowers and a faint trace of cooking smoke lingered in the air, peaceful in a way that almost hurt. Hoai Ca sat on the porch, her eyes drifting toward the winding village path cutting through the fields. Inside, Tony was sound asleep after his morning therapy. She sat there for a long time, as if trying to hold on to that rare moment of quiet. Since Tony was born, her life had been a blur of worry and exhaustion, being both mother and father, carrying every burden alone. Yet that day, her heart felt lighter. Maybe it was because of that morning when Doe showed up, laid a stack of money on the table, and spoke with a trembling, sincere voice. The same man who once made her cry had come back to help her and Tony. She sighed not from anger, but from realizing that time really can change people, even those who once hurt us the most. Tony stirred a little, his lips moving, as if dreaming something sweet. She bent down, brushed his soft hair, and smiled. "My sweet boy, as long as you're healthy, I don't need anything else." From the day she learned about Tony's developmental delay, her world had shrunk around her. She still remembered that morning the doctor placing the report on the desk, saying softly but firmly, "He needs early intervention. There's still hope, but it will take time." She walked out of the clinic with Tony in her arms, the sky collapsing around her. Tony was still smiling, playing with his toy car, unaware that his mother was swallowing her tears. Every day after that was a journey. She woke up before dawn, carried Tony miles to therapy, sold vegetables at the market, and came home to practice speech with him at night. Some nights, Tony cried, and she cried with him, caught between love, fear, and helplessness. But now, watching him sleep peacefully, his cheeks flushed and calm, she knew her efforts were paying off. Tony had started to make sounds not clear yet, but each one felt like a tiny miracle. And then she allowed herself to dream. In that dream, Tony woke up in a bright new room, sunlight spilling across pale blue walls. On the shelf were comic books, a toy car, and a framed picture of 3 people, her Tony, and Hung. Tony sat up, turned to her, and said in a clear, sweet voice, "Mom, I'm hungry." Just 4 words, but enough to make her cry in her sleep. She hugged him tight, feeling his warmth, then walked downstairs with him where Hung was making coffee. The smell filled the house. Hung looked up, smiling gently. "You're both up. Come here. Tony, let Dad hold you." Tony ran to him, laughing, and the sound lit up the room. Hoai Ca sat down, watching father and son play a quiet peace filling her heart. It had been so long since she'd seen that light in Hung's eyes. He had been through so much lost misunderstandings, even his mother's disapproval. But now, he finally understood love doesn't always need words, just presence. The dream house she imagined was built from the hearts of 2 men, Hung and Do. One was her husband. The other was a man who once hurt her, but learned to make things right. She no longer carried anger because their remorse had already brought her warmth. Do kept his word, sending money to fix the house, never asking questions, only leaving a short message. "Use this to make a better home for Tony. I owe you both more than I can say." Hung, though, busy with work, always found time to visit, bringing medicine milk and his calm smile. He never said, "I'm sorry for being away," but his eyes spoke for him. In her heart, she knew Tony would grow up surrounded by love from 2 men. One he called Dad, the other Uncle Doe. To her, that was enough. her son would never feel unloved again. Hoai Ca closed her eyes and let the images drift through her mind. Tony walking to school, his voice calling out words she once thought she'd never hear. She saw herself at the school gate watching him laugh with his friends. Farther back, Hung was recording the moment, and Du stood nearby smiling silently. Life was strange that way. People who once broke you could someday help you heal. Mistakes couldn't be erased, but they could become lessons. She realized that forgiveness isn't about forgetting, it's about letting go, so your heart can finally rest. Maybe that's why she'd found the strength to raise Tony and move forward without resentment. As dusk fell, Hoai Ca walked into the garden. The banana leaves swayed softly in the wind. Tony, now awake, ran out, holding a rubber ball. "Mom, play," he said, his voice clearer than before. She laughed through tears and opened her arms. "Okay, let's play." Tony threw the ball, giggling. She caught it, tossed it back. Their laughter echoed across the yard, mixing with the rustle of leaves and birdsong, a gentle melody of life. From afar, Du passed by on his motorbike. He stopped watching them for a moment, a smile of quiet relief on his face. He didn't call out. He just looked, knowing that their happiness was the redemption he'd been searching for. That night, Hoai Ca sat by Tony's bed and wrote in her old journal, "Today you said a new word. You said mom clearly this time. You laugh so much, and I'm not afraid of the future anymore. The road is still long, but we're not alone. For you, I'll stay strong, no matter what the past was." She closed the notebook and looked out the window. The moon hung high, soft and bright. Something inside her had shifted. No more silent tears, no more fear. Only love, faith, and hope. Somewhere out there, two men were watching over her, and Tony, one out of love, one out of repentance, both helping build the child's brighter tomorrow. Tomorrow, she would take Tony back to therapy. She knew the road would still be hard, but every word, every laugh, every step he took would be worth it. She placed her hand over her heart and whispered, "Our future will be peaceful." Moonlight washed over her face, soft as a promise. Outside, the sound of crickets filled the air, the rhythm of the countryside gently singing the mother and son to sleep. A sleep filled with faith. A sleep for those who finally learned that forgiveness is the only path to healing. Morning arrived gently, with sunlight streaming through the thin white curtains. The roosters crowed in the distance, and the sound of children laughing on their way to school drifted through the air. Hoai Ca opened her eyes, still half lost between dream and dawn. Tony was already awake, playing with his toy car on the floor. His tiny voice murmured something not clear yet, but enough to make her sit up and smile. "Good morning, my sunshine," she whispered. "Ready for therapy?" He looked up, grinned, and nodded. Moments later, she was walking down the familiar village path, one hand holding Tony's the other, clutching a small bag with snacks, a towel, and a bottle of water. The morning dew glistened on the grass, and the smell of rice fields reminded her that she wasn't alone in her fight. Every mother she knew carried her own quiet battles. At the therapy center, the staff welcomed Tony with warm smiles. "He's improving," one therapist said. "He tried to form new sounds yesterday." You can tell he's trying so hard. Hoai Ca nodded, feeling her heart swell. I know, she said softly. Every sound feels like a victory. While Tony practiced, she sat outside on a wooden bench, scrolling through old messages on her phone. There it was. Du's text again. Use it to build a better home for Tony. Don't thank me. Just promise you'll keep going. She stared at the message for a long time. That morning, she decided to do something she hadn't done in years. Visit the construction site at the edge of the village. The place was buzzing with the sound of saws and hammers. Men were laying bricks, mixing cement, lifting wooden beams under the bright sun. She recognized Do right away, wearing a simple shirt and a dusty hat. His sleeves rolled up, helping the workers move a pile of tiles. He turned and froze when he saw her. Hoai Ca. Why didn't you tell me you were doing it yourself? She asked quietly. Do wiped his hands on a towel and smiled awkwardly. I wanted to make sure everything was done right. The house will be simple but solid. Strong foundation, good roof. Tony deserves that. She looked at the unfinished walls, sunlight cutting through the wooden frame, casting long shadows on the ground. It wasn't just a house. It was a promise made of bricks and regret. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Only the sound of tools and wind filled the space. Finally, she said, You don't have to do this to prove anything. I'm not proving. He replied softly, I'm trying to give back what I took, even if it's just peace of mind. Her eyes softened. Maybe peace isn't something you can build with bricks, she said. Maybe it's something you find when you finally stop running from the past. Du looked down, his jaw tightening. Maybe you're right. Later that day, she took Tony back home. The old house seemed smaller than ever, but it was filled with sunlight. Tony ran to his toy corner, humming something tuneless but happy. When night came, Hoai Ca stood at the window, looking out toward the direction of the new house. The sound of crickets echoed again, and she wondered if Do was still there finishing something under the light of a single bulb. She whispered to herself, Everyone's trying in their own way. Maybe that's enough. A week passed. The house neared completion. When Hoai Ca and Tony visited again, Du handed her a set of keys. It's ready, he said simply. She stepped inside, the smell of fresh paint, the faint echo of their footsteps on new tile. The living room had a small window facing the fields. The kitchen was bright and airy. In the bedroom, a soft blue wall with tiny star stickers waited for Tony. This is... She couldn't finish the sentence. He smiled. Home. Tears welled in her eyes, uninvited but honest. Thank you, she said finally. He nodded. You don't need to thank me. Just promise me something. Fill this house with laughter. Tony ran in his small hands, touching the new walls, his laughter bouncing around the room. Du laughed too, the kind of laugh that sounded like a release. That night, under the golden light of sunset, they placed a small wooden sign above the doorway. Painted by hand, in Hoai Ca's careful handwriting, it read, Tony's home. It wasn't fancy, but it was enough. Du stood at the gate for a long while, then said, I should go. She hesitated. Will you visit? He shook his head gently. No. Not for now. I think this is where I stop, and you keep going. Why? Because I finally did what I came back to do, and because you deserve a life without looking back." The wind blew softly, rustling the bamboo leaves by the fence. She wanted to say something to thank him again, to stop him from walking away, but the words never came. Du smiled one last time. "Take care of him," he said, "and take care of yourself." Then he left. Hoai Ca stood there, watching his figure disappear into the golden light. Days turned into weeks. The new house became a home. Tony's laughter filled every corner in the mornings, when he played by the window in the afternoons, when he watered the small garden in the evenings, when he fell asleep in her arms. Each word he learned became a tiny celebration. Mom, ball, bird. Sometimes he'd point to the photo of Hung and whisper something like Dad, even if it came out broken. Hung started visiting more often. He fixed the old motorbike, helped with repairs, even painted the fence. He was trying quietly, steadily to make up for lost time. One afternoon, as they sat on the porch, watching Tony chase butterflies, Hung turned to her and said, "You've done everything right, you know that." She smiled faintly. "I just did what a mother does." He shook his head. "No, you did what a hero does." Her eyes softened, but she didn't answer. Instead, she watched Tony trip, fall, and get back up laughing, the perfect symbol of resilience. When night fell, the moon rose again, round and calm. Hoai Ca sat by the window, her journal open. She wrote, "The house is finished. The walls are blue. The air smells like peace. Tony is speaking more. Now his words are still soft, but full of hope. I think Du is somewhere far away, and maybe that's okay. Some people are meant to stay, some just to return once to make things right. Forgiveness doesn't erase pain, but it lets light in. And today, our home is full of light." She closed the book, set it on the bedside table, and turned off the lamp. Outside, the crickets kept singing. Tony stirred in his sleep, whispering something she couldn't quite catch. She leaned closer and heard it clearly this time, Mom. Just one word, clear, strong. Her heart swelled. She brushed his hair back and whispered, "Yes, sweetheart, I'm here." She kissed his forehead, and for the first time in years, she fell asleep, without fear, without doubt, only peace. At the edge of the village, under a dim streetlight, Du stood by his motorbike looking at the sky. He smiled faintly, as if saying goodbye to something he'd carried for too long. Then he whispered into the quiet night, "Be happy, Hoai Ca. That's all I ever wanted." He started the engine. The sound faded into the distance. Back at the house, Hoai Ca dreamed again, this time, not of sorrow, but of sunlight, laughter, and a little boy's voice calling her name over and over. And in that dream, she knew the past was behind her. Love had healed what guilt could not, and tomorrow would be brighter.